Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I made a video a few weeks ago about a bunch of fall recommendations for movies, TV shows, and books that I love during this season. And I was thinking about it and I realized I have so many recommendations for kids that I also want to share. So that's what today's video is going to be all about. I have two daughters, one that is 10 years old and one that is 1.5, and one more on the way. Well, one more kid on the way. It's a boy this time. But anyway, one of my favorite seasons to celebrate and experience with my kids is fall, second only to Christmas. So stay tuned. I cannot wait for the Christmas content. I just love fall time. I love all of the fall activities, the bonfires, the delicious food that we can make and enjoy together, the hay rides, the corn mazes, all of the many fun things to do in the fall. I look forward to it all year long. I love it so much. And one of the things I love to do with my kids is to just experience different books and movies with them, especially when it's things that I enjoyed from my childhood. And so I wanted to share some of our family's favorites with you today. Even if you don't have kids, I feel like even if you're young at heart, you might enjoy some of these movies and things like that. So stay tuned and hopefully I will suggest something new for you or your family to try this year. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about my favorite books, movies, and even a couple of board games that I think would be great to experience during the fall. And specifically, these are kind of Halloween and spooky season focused, but without any of the scariness. It's kind of a not so scary Halloween recommendations list for kids. So like I said, let's start out with the books. All right, so I didn't include like chapter books or middle grade or anything like that in this video because it would be super long. I focused on picture books, and I'm gonna get on my soapbox for a minute. Like I said, I'm a mom, I'm a speech therapist. Before I was a speech therapist, I went to school for early childhood education. So all that to say, I have a lot of experience with children's books and learning to read and all that sort of thing. So I feel like sometimes parents or any adults think that once a child can read on their own, that they no longer need to be read to, and that's not the case. You can keep reading to them as long as they will let you. And a lot of times books that are made for kids to read use very decodable words, which means they're kind of short, easy words to read, plots that aren't super involved or difficult to understand, because the focus is on them being able to read the words and still understand it, whereas picture books a lot of times are made for adults to read aloud to children, so they oftentimes have larger, more rich vocabulary words. They have like great storylines and plots and characters and things like that. Of course, there are exceptions, like I'm thinking like Harry Potter or books like that. But on the whole, I would say picture books sometimes have a better vocabulary comprehension type of teaching. So that's why it's still important to read out loud to them, even when they're older. Like I said, as long as they'll let you. A great book to read on this subject is The Read Aloud Family, I believe it's called. I have a copy of it somewhere. It is one of the best books I've ever read, and I loved it, and I learned so much about how important it is to just keep reading to our kids. But anyway, I could make a whole video on that. Maybe I will someday. But anyway, all that to say, these books are picture books, but with the exception of the first couple that I'm going to share, they're really good for all ages. Like honestly, as an adult, I enjoy them too. Mostly I enjoy experiencing them with my children, or when I worked in the schools, I would read a lot of these to my students because they all have a lot of good skills to kind of work on as far as language goes. But anyway, here are the books. The first two I'm going to share are focused more on toddlers, just because I'm just thinking about my own toddler, and we read these like literally every day and she loves them. So the first one is Where is Baby's Pumpkin by Karen Katz. If you're not familiar, she has tons and tons of books just like this. They're all Lift the Flap. Toddlers love these. I have to supervise, otherwise I'm sure it will be ripped to pieces. And in fact, one of the pieces is already ripped in this one. But it's super simple. It's baby's basically looking for her pumpkin. Every page, there's a flap and you look under it and see if her pumpkin is on that page. And it's really predictable. So like even my 1.5-year-old, I'll read the question, is it under the leaves? And every time she says no, and then we try to say some of the words like cat, or there's one a page with, I think this one has a ghost, and it's just good for those simple vocabulary words for her to try to say. And then she gets really excited on the last page when the baby finally finds the pumpkin. So these simple books like that are great for toddlers, and it's great to read them over and over. Maybe not great for your own sanity, because I'm very sick of this book, but it's really good for them to learn the words and the story. And there's lots of research on how reading things multiple times is really good for kids. But anyway, the next book that I think would be good for toddlers is It's Pumpkin Day Mouse. And this is by Laura Numeroff and Felicia Bond. And if you're familiar with Laura Numeroff, she is the author of If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. But this one is specifically for younger kids, and it's super simple again, but my toddler loves it. And it's all about the little mouse has these 7 pumpkins, and he's going to decorate them for Halloween. So each of the pumpkins has a different expression, and you can talk about different feelings and emotions. Like this one's happy. Can we make a happy face? This one's surprised. Can we make a surprised face? And she goes, oh, every time. And it's super cute. And there's one part where one of the pumpkins goes missing, and when you find it, it's making a scary face, and she loves that part. She laughs every time so hard. So this one's really cute too. And again, we read it almost every day. She loves it. So my first book recommendation for all ages is Creepy Carrots. This book, I used to use it all the time in my speech therapy room when I worked in the schools, because it's a really good one for working on making predictions and inferences and things like that. But it's about this rabbit, and every day he goes home and he eats these carrots out of this one certain field. But then one day he feels like somebody's following him. He thinks maybe these carrots are coming and following him home, and he keeps seeing them everywhere. So like, for example, okay, so at one point he thinks he sees them in the bathtub while he's brushing his teeth, and when he turns around, it was just his imagination. There were just some orange things in the bathtub. So it's kind of a good one to read and talk about how your imagination can play tricks on you, and just talking about being scared and being brave, and it can bring up some good conversations about that depending on what your kids are going through. But the ending is really funny, so I won't give it away, but it is a good ending. And this book is excellent. It's so good, and it's funny because he's afraid of carrots. I mean, what kid's going to be afraid of carrots? So it's not going to be scary for your kid, most likely. But it's funny to see the rabbit being scared of something so silly. So there's a couple more books in this series. There is Creepy Pair of Underwear, which I've read. And it's about his mom buys him this glow-in-the-dark pair of underwear, and he ends up being really scared of it. And yeah, that one's hilarious. I've read that one, and what kid doesn't think underwear is hilarious? So every kid loves that one. And there's one more, I think it's called Creepy Crayon, and I haven't read that one yet, so I'm gonna have to pick that one up from the library sometime. But yes, all of those books are excellent. And my next recommendation is There Was an Old Lady Who Swallowed a Bat. And there's tons and tons of these books. I'm sure you've heard of them, but they're just good because kids think that's hilarious. And it's all like Halloween things, like a cat, a bat, a ghost, and she's swallowing all these things, and it's predictable, which kids love predictable text like that, and that's good for their development too. So yeah, this is just another one of those old lady books that is good for Halloween. So this one I used in my speech room a lot as well. Another one I used a lot in my speech room was Pumpkin Town, and this is about a group of farmers who grow these pumpkins every year. And one year they kind of make a mistake and they accidentally blow all their extra pumpkin seeds into the neighboring town. And let me find the page. The town ends up getting overgrown with pumpkins. And this is a good one just to work on like sequencing and predictions. At the ending, you can tell them what you think will happen, or you can ask them what you think will happen next. Again, I don't want to give away the ending, but it will make sense if you read it. So yeah, this one's really cute. It's pretty funny. My students and my kids like this one a lot. Amelia Bedelia's First Apple Pie is another good one. And I honestly like the classic Amelia Bedelia books better. They have like a series of newer ones, and this is one of those. But I think it's good for fall. And I'm sure you're probably familiar, but if not, Amelia Bedelia takes everything literally. She doesn't really understand like figurative language at all. So that's why this is a good one to work on if you want to talk about figurative language. So it's all about, she's trying to help her grandma make this apple pie. And let me look for an example here. For example, this part says, Grandma rolled out the dough. It got flatter and thinner. It got rounder and bigger. Grandma said, careful, watch your fingers. And then you can see her here. And she's literally watching her fingers. So there's all kinds of little things like that. And you can talk about, what did Grandma really mean? Did she really want her to watch her fingers? And it's just a really cute story. This is one that I remember from when I was in school. So it's an older one. I used to always read this at the beginning of the school year. So it's not necessarily a Halloween story, but there is kind of a creepy, mean teacher in it. And it's just good to read at the beginning of the year. So it's Miss Nelson is Missing. This one is also great to work on like inferencing. So it's about this class, and they are very poorly behaved at the beginning of the school year. Their teacher is very sweet, but the students do not respect her. So one day, their teacher does not show up for school. Instead, they have Miss Viola Swamp as their teacher, and she is very mean. She's not very nice to look at, and she just really whips the class into shape. They're all scared of her, and they're all worried about what happened to their real teacher. So it just kind of goes through the story. They're trying to find the teacher, trying to figure out what happened to her, and the ending is really kind of clever. And it doesn't even tell you specifically what happens at the ending. You kind of have to look at the picture and figure out, what was actually going on there? And sometimes it goes right over the kids' heads. And so what? This is a good one that really makes them think like, oh wait, there's a black dress in her closet, and she's got all these like fake eyelashes and a wig in her closet. What was really going on? And it's, once they figure it out, they think it's hilarious. So this is a fun one too. This one is just like a straight up classic, and it is, well, the movie's a classic. It's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. This is literally just a retelling of that exact movie, but who doesn't love it? I mean, come on, it's so sweet. Just a sweet little story. I mean, nothing much to say about it except it's classic, it's timeless, and the book is just as fun as the movie, I think. Okay, this book, our family loves the entire series of these books. So the I Spy books, they've been around for a long time. I'm sure most people have probably seen them before, but we love the I Spy Spooky Night book for Halloween time. I'm not kidding when I say we've probably looked at this book for hours before, and it's fun. Like, obviously the baby's a little too little, but my oldest daughter and my husband and I will just sit on the couch together and like try to find all the pictures, and it's fun for all of us, honestly. It's just like a fun family activity. So if you're not familiar with the I Spy books, basically all it is it's these pictures that have hidden objects in them and hidden pictures. And it gives you kind of a list of things to find, and you just go through and try to find them. So this particular one takes place at a haunted house. So you start at the gate and then the outside of the house, and then it just kind of goes through all of the different rooms. And like it says, I spy a swan, a turtle, a bear, a lizard, mom, and a bone repair. So you just go through and look for all of those items. And some of them are easy. Some of them are really, really hard. And we like those ones. We like the challenging ones. So love this book. We've spent so much time looking at it. I don't even think we've found all the objects yet. Or gone through all the pages. But yeah, this is super fun, a really fun family activity. Okay, so I have saved my favorite 2 Halloween children's books for last. So best for last. The first one is The Little Old Lady Who Was Not Afraid of Anything. And this one is like a predictive text. It's really repetitive. So this little old lady goes for a walk in the woods and she's not afraid of anything. So she's looking for nuts and seeds in the forest, and all of a sudden she hears a clomp clomp, and it's these 2 shoes following her. And the story goes on, and more things begin to follow her, but she's not afraid of anything, and it keeps reiterating that point. It gets to the point where it's so repetitive by the end of the book the kids can kind of go along and say it with you. Like all the little pieces. 2 shoes go clomp clomp, 1 pair of pants go wiggle wiggle, 1 shirt goes shake shake, and so on. And they can just they kind of memorize it as it goes. And at the end, it's kind of a story about bravery and talking to your kids about being brave. And I think just kind of like Creepy Carrots, this is a good one to bring up some of those issues if they're scared of anything. But all kids, everybody's scared of something. But yeah, it's just a good for discussion about she probably was scared, but she was brave anyway, and she made the choices she did. And it's also it's just so cute. It's just such a cute little story. And I love the illustrations. It's one of my top children's books for Halloween. And then probably my number 1 book, and I know it's super popular, everyone's probably read it, but it's Room on the Broom. And I just think this book is perfection. I love it so much. So it tells a story about this witch and her cat, and she has a broom, and she's just flying through the night sky, and she keeps dropping things. And each time she drops something, she meets another character, and they all end up wanting to join her on her broom. And then at the end, she kind of runs into this dragon, and it's this story about how her friends help her out in that situation. So even though it's about a witch, it's not scary at all, and I like that. I don't want my kids to be scared. I remember being little and watching like episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark, and then I couldn't sleep that night. Did anybody else do that, or was that just me? But I don't want my kids to go through that. And I mean, I'm pretty sure I wasn't allowed to watch that show, and I did anyway, so it was my fault. But anyway, this is a book that's not going to give anybody any nightmares. It's just about sweet little characters, except for the dragon. And it rhymes. It's so cute. I just love the way it all sounds. I love the illustrations, and it's adorable. I love it. My niece actually went as the witch one year for Halloween, and it was the cutest thing ever. But anyway, this one is great. It's good for anybody. And there's a movie too. It's only like a half hour long or something, and it's basically just a narrator reading the book along with showing the story as the movie. So this one's great. The Gruffalo is another book by those same authors that would probably be fun to read around Halloween time, because the Gruffalo is a little bit scary, but it's all about how this little mouse outsmarts the Gruffalo. So lots of good messages. I believe that one's like a movie too. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure though. So yeah, those are all of my top children's books that I would recommend for this time of year. Of course, definitely not an exhaustive list. Those are just a select few of my favorites. There are hundreds more that are wonderful for this time of year. But if there's any that I suggested that you haven't checked out, I would recommend it, because I think you and your kids would have a fun time reading them together. And now I have just a few movies that I want to suggest. And these, again, are not so scary. They're Halloween related, but not scary. And in my other fall recommendations video, I mentioned Coco. So that's one of my top picks, but if you want to know my thoughts about that one, I will link that video below. Same with It's a Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. I talked about that one a little bit too in that video. That's another high recommendation. And like I mentioned already, Room on the Broom is a great one. And then one I was thinking about that is a classic, and it's not necessarily a Halloween movie. Actually, there is a big Halloween scene in it, isn't there? But anyway, it's great to watch around Halloween is E.T. So that's another one that's not really scary, but it's such a good movie, such a classic. And I think it'd be great to watch it around Halloween time if you're trying to stay away from those super scary movies. Another movie, which is actually a movie plus a couple of sequels that we love to watch around Halloween time, is Hotel Transylvania. All three of them are cute, and they're not scary really. It's kind of funny because it takes all of those classic creepy monsters and vampires and all those creepy things you hear about at Halloween time, and it just turns them into like normal people and makes them funny, and it makes them seem less scary. And I love the characters in those movies and the plots. I think they're actually well-made children's movies, which is sometimes not the case, but all the ones on this list I think are. And then one that when I was little, I like felt brave for watching it. I was like a really big wimp. Still am when it comes to scary movies. But I remember my parents let me watch it, and I was surprised. They were pretty strict about what I was allowed to watch. And I thought it was gonna be super scary, but it didn't scare me at all. So if it didn't scare me, you know it's not a scary movie, and that is Casper. And I'm talking about like the live action Casper movies that came out, or movie that came out sometime in the 90s. And it's just about this girl and her dad, and they move into this old haunted house and end up meeting the ghosts that live there. And there's Casper and his three uncles, the uncles are a little bit on the evil side. And it's just super cute. It's super cozy and all the Halloween vibes. It's the perfect movie to watch around Halloween. And like I said, not too scary. So those are all the movies on my list. I know I don't have a ton. I was thinking about it and I realized there's a lot of movies, kids movies for Halloween that I haven't seen. So we're gonna have to check some more of those out this year. I'm always a little bit careful because like I said, I don't want my kids to be scared. So I like to kind of screen them first. Maybe next year I'll make another list with a lot more movies on it. And also, side note, I have not seen the new Haunted Mansion movie that came out yet. Haunted Mansion is my very favorite ride at the Magic Kingdom. I've loved it since I was a little girl. I have looked way too into the history of the ride and know things that no normal human probably should know because I'm just way too interested in it. But we did not go see the new movie yet because it's too expensive to go to the movie theaters right now, to be honest. So we're kind of waiting for it to come to Disney Plus. But if you have seen it, let me know what you thought. It looked a little scary. I thought it was probably too scary for my older daughter, but honestly, she doesn't get that scared. I'm just more overprotective probably, but cannot wait to watch that one. So maybe I'll have to report back on whether that one is a good one for kids or not, in my opinion. The last thing I wanted to share today are a couple of board games that our family really likes, and they're great for this time of year. So I think any version of the game Clue is great for around this time of year. It's like you're solving a mystery. It's always fun, but my daughter got this one for Christmas last year. It's the Disney Villains version of Clue. It is super fun. So highly recommend that one. You could just do a whole family game night with all of these game recommendations. But yeah, this one is great. Actually, Clue seems to take a long time, so you might only have time to play one. But yeah, my daughter has always been very into the Disney Villains, and we're a Disney family. I'm sure you know that if you have seen my channel before, probably. But yeah, we love this one. My next game recommendation is the Haunted Mansion Call of the Spirits game. So I told you I love the Haunted Mansion. So this is just a game where you go around. It has all the iconic rooms and characters from the ride at Disney World. And it's just a spooky fun one for Halloween time. Another one that's really fun is called Bugs in the Kitchen. I guess it's not quite as in-your-face spooky as the other one, but I mean, bugs are creepy and crawly, and that is related to Halloween, right? But it's really fun. It's like this motorized bug, and he moves around the board, and you have to move the kitchen utensils and try to, by doing that, send him to your opponent's side of the board. It's really cute. We have to keep it away from the baby and our cats because they love the little motorized bug here. But yeah, this one is a super fun game. And I think it'd be really fun to play around Halloween time if you wanted to have like a Halloween game night too. So that is it for my recommendations for today. If you have any children's books or movies or games or anything else that you love, please leave them in the comment section below because I'm always looking for new books to read to my girls. Well, my kids. I can't say girls anymore in a couple months. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you want more videos like this one.